How many licks does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop? The world may never know.
The world may never know. All right, Norm, are you ready?
Oh, of course.
We're already live. People
I
can
know
see
we
us.
are. Hey, how you
Hi.
doing?
And if anybody's watching, what's up? What's up?
What up?
Okay. All right. Should have done a test on this, but it should be fine. Good day to you. Good day to you, Dad. Sorry.
Not my dad.
Oh, what's up, Carlos? Carlos is watching.
Hi, Carlos.
It's my soccer buddy.
Oh, cool.
What's up, man? This is Norm. He already knows.
Yeah.
I think you met him. All right.
I think there was a connection somewhere.
All right. Are we going to do the goddamn podcast
Oh, yes,
now?
we are going to
Let's
do the
fucking
goddamn
do it.
podcast.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody. It is time for another episode of Da Chicago 60 Podcast. I am your illustrious host, Justin Jaywar. And sitting here to my left is my illustrious co-host,
Norm Jaywar. Hey, J&J.
Oh,
You're my
God.
brother from another mother.
That is correct, yes. Stormin' Norman
Yes, sir.
is here. Our good pal and tech guy, Manny, is not with us. Manny Fresh is not with us today. He will be back hopefully next week. He is a very busy man. Who knew that he was teching all over the place?
God, he's a genius.
We need to
Great.
start paying that mofo. Anyway, folks, we have another great episode here for you tonight. We have some amazing topics, some very intricate and some might say soul-searching topics. We are expecting to have a very good conversation. We hope that you will join us for the topics that we are about to discuss. So, let's not delay any further.
Nope.
Tonight, we talk about abortion.
Women are trying to get their names back. A new divorce law in Chicago. Also, Pride Fest is over. This upcoming weekend, Pride, the do's and don'ts of being in Chicago during Pride weekend.
That's right. And also, Carp! Carp! No, not just the guy from Star Wars who said, it's a trap. Actual carp. It's a problem in Chicago and all of the Great Lakes. And Chicago is spearheading the effort to save the lakes. All of that, and of course, the Jagoff of the Week on this episode of the Chicago 60 Podcast. And now, Norm, it is time for the podcast. Cheers to the podcast. I screamed too loudly.
Yeah.
That's okay. So just, delete that. Well, you know what?
If you listen to this in your headphones, we're sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry.
We're sorry.
But, if you're not drinking, you do something wrong, folks. Or, live your life. Don't drink if you
Do
don't
you?
want to. I mean,
It's
there's
okay.
that.
We won't
Whatever.
force you.
No, we don't give
We're
a
not
shit.
judging you.
But we like to drink.
We love to drink.
And we will. Okay. Norm. Wow. So many things.
So many things.
So many topics.
Important topics.
Very important topics
Fun
to
topics,
discuss.
too. And
Fun,
serious
fun,
ones.
serious topics.
Yes.
Yes.
And informational.
Information.
Information.
Yes. Well, let's just get right to it, man, because we're just gonna rip off the Band-Aid and just expose the wound. And that wound is abortion.
It's abortion.
Yes, or divortion, which is a divorce
Abortion
that is
is
caused
abortion.
after an abortion happens.
Ooh,
Which
divortion.
may be part of this new law that just
Abortion. It's hard to get there.
God. All right, well, God damn it, Chicago and Illinois, there's a new law that has just been passed by J.B. Pritzker. I actually believe it happened last week. But we wanted to take some time to really put some thoughts around this topic because it ain't a light topic. This is one of the big, hot button issues going on in America. And now in Illinois and Chicago, it's quite an interesting situation, one might say. So let's get right to it. J.B. Pritzker signed into law making abortion. It's abortion, not abortion. It's abortion. Fuck me. All right. So making abortion a fundamental right for women in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's huge.
Yep.
Huge.
Yep.
Huge.
Yep.
Okay. It's called the Reproductive Health Act of 2019, obviously. It has repealed the former Illinois abortion law of 1975. So now there's no longer a felony charge for doctors to perform abortions. It is removing waiting periods, and the new law removes the need for married women to get consent from their husbands. Hence, the Freudian slip, but very accurate name of a abortion, where men may divorce their wives for getting an abortion. We just made that up. We should probably coin that and copyright that term, actually.
Do that, yeah.
Now, another very, very key terminology in the legal literature, the legalese, if you will, of this law. This is some real heavy-hitting shit. It states that no fertilized egg, embryo, or fetus shall have any independent rights whatsoever. That is huge. Huge. Illinois, according to our Governor J.B. Pritzker, now has the most progressive laws on the books for any state in the Union. Many of the other states around us have made it very difficult for private and public funding to occur to allow for abortions to happen. In fact, 6 states only have 1 clinic, and they have very long waiting times. And the reason for all of that is to discourage women from even getting abortions. Now, I don't know, but you will get into this in a minute, but I've seen many a protester going on in the state of Illinois in front of clinics. There used to be one near where I used to live. But moving right along, Pritzker said that this bill is to protect women despite what may happen to Roe v. Wade. Now, this norm is in particular reference to the new judges on the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. We have John Gorsuch and that guy who got into hot water.
The one that every person in the world will know. Children in school now know who Brett Kavanaugh is.
Yes, the one who must not be named.
Yeah, right.
So because of that, there are some fears that they may try and overturn Roe v. Wade. So this law was put in place in order to protect women from that, at least in Illinois. Illinois has more abortion clinics based on population than most of our Midwest neighbors. In fact, the CEO of Planned Parenthood of Illinois, her name is Jennifer Welch, said, quote, "This law is an important step to remove the stigma around a simple medical procedure that 1 in 4 women will have in their lifetime." End quote.
Wow.
I don't know how simple of a procedure it is, but okay. So that's the gist, man. There's some heavy stuff in here. Heavy stuff in here to discuss. We shall take it perhaps one issue at a time. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, it makes it a fundamental right for women to get an abortion. A fundamental right. Now, I know a good bit about constitutional law. I did pretty well in my Constitution test back in the 8th grade.
I'm pretty good at bird law, but
Yes. American history is one of my favorite topics, and particularly the legalese of America's Constitution and laws on the books and things of that nature it's very intriguing to me. And then I always have an issue when we start talking about what is a fundamental right. I don't want to get into this other topic too much, but just to provide an example, people are saying that healthcare is a fundamental right. I think we have to be very careful on what we label is a fundamental right, because there are certain things like life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. I totally get that. Those are things that I find are inherently, like, you're born with that. Are you born with the right to have an abortion? Are you born with the right to healthcare? Again, I don't want to get into healthcare at all, but I'm just saying, although the two are married in a certain way, abortions and healthcare, but you see, I guess that's where I'm trying to get at. What do we mean by a fundamental right?
I mean, just in the statement that you just made, the pursuit of happiness, how are we supposed to level happiness? What if one person is just like, I will be a happier individual if this situation was behind me the best way possible? Because, no matter what, for any female, because it's kind of harder for us to talk because we're both men. But no matter what, for any female, abortion is going to be hard. Like, something like that is so hard to deal with and so hard to mentally and physically, because I mean, it's their body, to have to go through and deal with and embrace and accept and decide to either move forward or even not move forward. So for one point, it's harder for us to speak on it because we are men and these are rights of women. And you do kind of have a point with the fundamental right. I think it is dangerous terminology to go, it is a fundamental right for anything, but it is their body and it's not our control. So I kind of say yes.
I mean, I totally understand. I think even though we are men, we can have a reasonable perspective and an idea about this type of a topic. I do dislike the argument that because we're men, we can't have an opinion on what goes on with women, and vice versa. Like, we all know women be telling men what they should and should not do all the goddamn time. So anybody, any man who's been in a relationship knows that shit. That's why there's the old adage, happy wife equals happy life, right? But nevertheless, I do understand what this means for women, and I do understand it's their bodies. Obviously, what I just get caught up, at least in this particular essence of this law. We'll get to the rest of it here in a second. But in this particular case, I just feel like, are you born with a fundamental right to have an abortion? I don't know if that's something where it's like you as a child, you as a baby being born, it's like, oh, well, if you want to have an abortion one day, yep, you have that. Like, that just I mean, I guess if you were to, the way you put it into context about it being like a pursuit of happiness, to have an abortion is a pursuit to my happiness. But then perhaps you were having the wrong happiness if you were not being safe with your sexual promiscuity. I mean, there's a lot to unwrap, and not to say that women by any means are wrong in their sexual exploits, and men don't make mistakes when it comes to that at all.
But even in that, we have to take a huge chunk out of the equation and go, okay, so sans rape or some other physical harm, sans like it was a mutual understanding between a male and a female, and they came together and created a child. In that small bubble of a box, we have to question that and kind of figure out that, and then outside of that, you have to start trying to piece together the other parts. Right. So, in my opinion, and we kind of discussed this earlier, in my opinion, why not give women the full and total right to do what they choose with their body, and then we start picking at the questions of what is the best way to handle these things versus going, no, you have no rights whatsoever. And then maybe if this situation happens, we'll give it to you. Why not work the opposite way? Why not give it all and then start to kind of figure out, okay, so, and we'll probably get further into this. I'll probably jump in the gun, but like working that way, working our way kind of backwards. I don't want to call it backwards, but, giving the full Monty and then kind of, covering the dick. That's the best way to put it.
Well, yes, I do understand that, and I should preface our talking about this conversation. We're merely talking about the new law that came about in Illinois that affects Chicago and the whole state of Illinois. By no means, and we will probably have another episode to talk about this, and we'll probably include some female guest stars onto the episode to talk about it from the female perspective, and we will have a lot more factual information based on abortion. Today we're only talking about the law and a let's say opinionated discussion as of right now, not entirely based all on fact. It's merely trying to give you the information about what's going on with the law and our thoughts on it from what has just happened and our general knowledge as men and knowing about some factual information in a broader sense as of now. But we will, particularly with, I preface that, I say that as we continue this conversation here over the next several minutes, because this is such a hot button topic. I don't want anybody to think that we're just spewing a bunch of nonsense. And we clearly know we could be ignorant fuckholes right here talking about this, but we're just trying to say, here's what is on the books now. Here's what our initial reactions are, and then we will come back on a future episode, bring out some more perspective and a lot more facts, really dive into the topic to really have a more nuanced and conversation about it. But at least for now, this is what's here. So we need to, how do we feel about it? And please leave us a message, leave us a comment, and let us know what you think as we continue this conversation and after this episode has come to its completion. But moving right along here, staying on topic, transitioning to particularly what you said about it's women's bodies, they should have control over what they do. I agree. I don't think that any man should tell a woman what they should do with their bodies. If a woman wants to go out and have sexual intercourse with a man, that's her body. She can choose what to do. That's her choice. Okay? If a woman wants to, she can do it. It's her. That is her individuality to go and express herself the way she wants to do. I have no problem with that. One thing in this new law that does bring me some concern is this new legislative language that states that a woman, whilst being married, can go and get an abortion against or without the consent of her husband. Now, this is one thing that kind of sticks in my craw a bit, because I can see many instances where perhaps a woman, unbeknownst to her husband, just goes and gets an abortion, and perhaps the husband wants the child. You would think that that's a conversation you would have ahead of time, and it's like, oh no, we're not ready yet. But I feel like, man, at this point, that's really taking any, as you stated, Norm, it's a man and woman coming together, joining, becoming one flesh, and the whole point of sex is to reproduce. We're one of the only animals that does it for fun on the planet, but really that's the whole point of what sex is. Sex, what sex is, right? So if you're a married couple, you would think that that's part of the goal. That is also one of the fundamental principles of marriage, is to have two people, if they are of the opposite sex, to then reproduce. Even in same-sex marriages, they don't reproduce necessarily. Some, get surrogate mothers and things, but even they want to have a child. That's kind of what being a couple is. If you're married, and that's part of kind of like the human experience. But now, this law in Illinois is saying that a woman can choose on her own to just get an abortion without the husband's consent. This gets really kind of tricky, I feel like, because what if the husband wants the child, but then the woman just decides to get an abortion? That's where we could get this divortion. Where like a man divorces his wife, and then how do you deal damages from that? That is, I feel like that should be left to couples and not put a mandated in the law. How do you feel about that?
Well, because you're right, it gets very tricky, because even in that sense, would that happen in a happy home? Like, would that happen in an understanding and fully intersected relationship, where the husband and the wife understand each other, they talk to each other? Would there be a situation where the wife would go, I can't tell my husband about this pregnancy, I must go get it aborted? More possibly. It's definitely possible. Something that could definitely happen. I can't say it wouldn't happen. Right. But from everything we know, that usually only happens in the situation of a medical issue or an unhappy relationship. And let's say, because it says married, it says, so let's say this woman, and this is the best and worst part about it, which kind of back to your point in the past. We love facts. We love talking about the facts. If you have a fact and we're wrong, we love embracing that fact. Yes. And go, I didn't know that.
Happy to be wrong.
Exactly.
And it means I'm learning. That's important.
Exactly. And in this situation, you got to kind of think about it. It's like there are so many questions and so much prying and pondering and saying, okay, well, what if the wife was in an unhappy relationship, but she's legally married and has a child, but wants to get a divorce and has not gone through that process yet and does not want to tie herself to this other person?
I suppose one thing I don't know, because I haven't read the law or the Illinois abortion law of 1975, I guess this would be a keynote. If in the prior law it stated that a woman could not have an abortion without consent of her husband, then I can understand, because I can definitely see a situation where you don't want a man to have control over your body, particularly if it's your husband, because I could see the husband potentially having the power in the former law to say, no, you're going to have the child because I want it.
Yeah.
And then if she were to get an abortion, there could be, legal and potentially monetary penal charges that could be filed against the woman. So I can totally get that. I can see that from a reasonable perspective, being that it's just so tricky, because now it's gone the complete opposite end of the spectrum, where it's like, well, what does that mean for men who want to have the child? I don't know. I just get really icky on anything that really labels anything that I feel should be a private matter between, why does it need to even be stated? Leave it without anything. Like, it doesn't, I just feel like it doesn't need to be stated at all. Like, it should just be, let a couple figure out what the hell they want to do. But then you get the opposite argument where they say, well, you can't, because there needs to be at some point damages gone to somebody, I suppose.
And that's why I feel like we're giving it all, and then maybe throughout this time of like, okay, what are the situations that are coming into the courts? What is happening? Okay, now we analyze. Now this is what I hope that government is actually doing, is that they're taking these facts and seeing, okay, so there are more men coming in who are in a happy relationship, who have not had any, like, we've talked to the wife, we've talked to the husband, they both in a happy relationship. This is breaking them up because this situation happened where the wife went off and had a illegal abortion without the husband's knowledge. There's been more of that coming in than we're ready for. We have to change these laws. So give it all. And
this is what you're bringing up here is very astute, and I would hope this change was made and based on factual evidence of these situations happening versus a spur of the moment. We're gonna be the most progressive state, so we're just gonna do this in lieu of evidence. It completely in disregard of what the evidence may suggest. We're just going to put this out there, and again, I just feel like these instances have to be rare. Again, have no factual basis for that, but it just seems. I just would rather it be left out, because again, one of the primary reasons why they push this legislation through is because, and this is Pritzker's words, he said that it is to protect women despite what may happen to Roe v. Wade. So in Illinois, women would be protected should Roe v. Wade be overturned. Now, I don't think Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned, but if it is, that is the reason for this law. But has it gone so far progressive that we have lost sight of what the nuances in there? And again, I haven't read the law, so there might be clauses in there that say if this, then this, if this, then this. Those could be in there. I don't know. Or it could just be one blanket statement saying this. But as it states on the books right now, that is what the law says. So that is just one clause that kind of like sticks in my craw a little bit. But again, if it was the complete opposite, I also am not really a fan of a husband having control over his wife's body to say, well, nah, baby, you gotta have that baby. Like,
because I own you both. But also, to be fair, as men, we can have babies anytime.
That's true. You can have. It's not hard to make a baby.
We can make babies at any point. Okay,
it's pretty simple process.
We don't have to carry them. All right. So in that regard, it kind of, the male doesn't deserve the right in a way. But like we said from the beginning, I only think about this happening in unhappy marriages, or it gets sticky. Like what if one individual cheated on the other individual and needed to cover that information up? It gets really, like you said, into a relationship point where
but see, that's one thing. Like we're getting into we're getting into private, personal matters. And it's like, how does one even legislate that? But that's kind of one of the things.
You even said it's to fight against the possibility of Roe v. Wade being overturned. Right. So maybe we go to the fullest extent just in case some bad shit happens.
Right.
And it just goes to shit. And it's like, okay, well, you have this foundation. You have this wall here. We have some time to fix things before we can get this back running, and then we'll start operating. We'll start tweaking the laws a little bit. The laws are meant to be changed. We're not meant to leave them the same. We're supposed to adapt them. We're supposed to work on them more. So that's the hope. But also, our hopes have been dashed multiple times in the last few years. So
that is true. Well, moving right along, again, transitioning to another part of this legislation that's, I think, crucial language, which is what makes this such a progressive law, is that it states now that neither a fertilized egg, an embryo, nor a fetus shall have independent rights within the womb of a female. Now, for some clarity and background, I happen to be Catholic. The Catholic Church is fairly absolute on its stance on abortion. Okay? Now, I am what one would call a lapsed Catholic. I believe in most of the shit, but, some of it's a little,
some dated.
It's like, oh, what if Mary had an abortion? That'd be an interesting turn of events. But, so much for the cleansing of all of our sins.
Jesus.
Oh, Jesus. Yes. Oh, but I've always kind of had the stance, particularly in cases of, incest, rape, etc. I'm like, okay, one has to have a reasonable perspective on things. That's not fair to the woman, particularly if they're a young child and whatnot. It's kind of okay, let's be a fucking human being here for a moment. Okay, put yourself in the person's shoes. That's ridiculous. However, in most cases, I am more for informing women about other options like adoption and things like that. Now, the adoption process is not perfect by any means, but I tend to lean more towards I'd rather there be a life than not be a life, because we don't know what that life could turn into. It could be great for all mankind and all womankind, or it could just be, another shit asshole who takes up space. Probably a lot of the latter more than the former, but you don't know, right? But if you get rid of it, if you get rid of the life and it has no independent rights, that means the life that is growing inside of the woman, it is, to me, I do feel like it is a human being that is in the process of becoming a full human. And it says a fetus, okay? Which means when? All the way up to the point of birth? That gets crazy. And the article in the Tribune that I read about this had mentioned about, there's many cases of this where babies are born prematurely and then they turn into fine, fully developed human beings who do great things in the world. So it's just a tricky thing to say. That's the crux of it. By stating that fetuses, embryos, fertilized eggs in the womb do not have rights, they are not, human beings, we're basically saying, that gives the full autonomy to women to do whatever they want with it. And man, it's such a tricky thing because another life is being born inside of a life. So it's such a hard thing, but I feel like, man, there's still also another human being being grown there. That is going to turn into a human being.
And see, for that point right there is no way, and this is just me going off, it's not fact, but it's my overall potential opinion. There is no way that a woman would go the 9 months to feed and create a human and then get rid of it if it wasn't medically necessary. There's too much physical, mental, connection. Literally a physical attachment to that human. Where they would not go up the full 9 months to potentially abort that human. Right.
And in terms of medical health of the woman and stuff, I am also that's one of those catch-22 situations.
Yeah, it's weird. You literally have to trim all of the really bad shit. And like you said, as a human, understand it, has to happen, gotta be that. Take that part off and just stick to the core. It's still fucking tricky.
Yeah, it's a catch-22. That's definitely another difficult situation. But it is a situation. It is. And it needs to be in context. So again, with this language, it basically says, it's technically, it doesn't have any rights.
Yeah.
So this law has basically given women full autonomy over themselves, which is okay, golf clap, well done, yay, okay. But again, in lieu of everything else, it has basically stripped away the rights of the other parties that are really involved in that could have a decision on that.
Yeah.
Particularly the life that is being created.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my personal belief as an individual. That's how I decide to live my life. I mean, I would rather see life than not see life is just my jam. However, as we've discussed, in those catch-22 situations, I think you have to just be a human being and go, this is, come on, it's ridiculous. Yeah. And you don't want to burden somebody else, but if somebody, what I don't like is, oh fuck, the condom broke, oh shit, I forgot my pill, that is consensual. It's like, oh, well, I gotta get rid of it. It's like, well, it should be mutual, like, have safe sex, right? Like, don't be an idiot, but there's a lot of idiots. But it's like, you gotta go in, you gotta be smart, you gotta, go into these situations and just be smart. And I feel like, are we even educating people enough to be smart in these situations? I think no, and I think that could be a good way to hopefully avoid these types of situations.
We're not trying at all, which is the main issue. And I think you brought up a good point, though. Like, there is a whole facet of people who bring faith into this. And faith is an important thing to where if you have faith in some type of religion, that means it means everything to you. It has to, for you to have faith in something that you can't readily grasp or definitely know. It's some truth that you believe in, and that's beautiful, and it's okay, and it's your truth. It's a lot of people's truth, and that's all right. I think the main issue is a lot of people who have faith above the being human, and it's a point where you're not human, you're just faith-based, and that's all that matters. So even in medical situations, you don't believe past the human being, the person that you're seeing, the eye to eye. And that becomes a difficult situation to try to move around. And I think you're right. In a lot of that situation, we're not teaching any generation about how to handle any of this.
No.
I don't know, and I can't say that because I don't know what schools are teaching now. I don't know what they're trying to teach. A lot of the time they try to, there's a lot of parents who are trying to stop kids from learning this when it should be one of those things that they learn immediately. Like, you should know, like, there is nothing wrong with needing to know this information.
I mean, there was some laws they're trying to pass where they're going to start teaching this to, like, 5-year-olds, and even I'm kind of like, that might be a little young. But I mean, yes, I think it is something that we should teach how to do things properly. I mean, we've all seen kind of those funny sex tapes from, like,
Yeah.
This is the, this is the vagina, and this is the
penis.
penis.
On a condom, man.
Yeah, I mean,
we've all like, why am I still using a banana?
Yeah, it's, I mean, we've all seen those horrific videos, but I think there is something to be said for, like, we should have some form of better education to teach people, how to have safe sex so that these situations don't arise. And there's just a complete cultural shift in our culture now around sex and everything, the feminist movement and allowing women to have free spirit of their sexuality and everything, which, again, no problems there. Works out for men quite well in a lot of instances. I mean, who doesn't love sex? But at the end of the day, it's like, just, you gotta be careful. There are a lot of things out there that'll allow for you to have safe sex, and it flabbergasts me that people don't do it. And then there's a whole lot of things that, this is like, we could go off into all kinds of tree branch and everything, so I don't want to get too far ahead of our skis here. We're just trying to focus on the new law at the moment, and this is what the law states. So, on the whole, my kind of final thoughts, we can move on here, is I'm definitely is the most progressive that I've heard of any state. It's a very progressive law. I understand why they did what they did. In Illinois, it's fairly easy to do what they did. Democrat House, Democrat Senate, Democratic governor, and a Democratic city that elects them, which is primarily made of a lot of liberal individuals who want this type of legislation. So, not exactly a difficult thing to get through, right? But what I would probably need to read the full law, so shame on me. But again, this is just kind of an initial gut reaction to what has happened, and we'll get back into this in another episode. But I think there are some I think overall it's good to allow women to have the autonomy over their bodies. I just hope that we don't lose sight of the other side of what is possible in order to push a progressive agenda and a progressive idea just for the sake of saying it's hey, look at us, look at us.
Progressive thing.
Right. I mean, you know, if the legislation doesn't consider and doesn't take into account these nuanced things and it's just blanketed language based on this, then I think it's foolhardy. Yeah. But if the legislation does take into consideration the nuanced situations, and it's like how many situations can you really do? Yeah. But if it at least gives some effort and some forethought into that, then I think okay, maybe there's, like you had mentioned previously, maybe there's something we can build upon and at least sets a foundation. We go from there. And if you hate the law, you fucking move out of the state. Yeah. And if you love the law, you move here. Yeah, right. What are your final thoughts before we move on?
My final thoughts are kind of similar to yours. I hope that this isn't just to allow us to be the most progressive. You know, I hope this isn't a potential presidential note point for J.B. Pritzker. I hope it's not something that he can pin on to say that he did this. I do think it's the smartest idea to give all the rights and then start making intricate notions on what type of situations. I hope there are facts involved. I hope there are psychologists and therapists and Planned Parenthood, as well as everyone involved, religions. Like, I hope we can all come together and figure out certain things and certain alleyways that make this better for everyone. That's probably not going to happen, but one can hope. But I guess with the fear of everything being overturned and taken away, I guess you got to give all the freedom so then you can figure it out after the world burns. And then you kind of put the pieces back together. But I'm the same as you. I hope that everything is taken into consideration because it's not a light topic. It's not a simple thing.
This is a hot topic, crucial issue for many people. This is where you're either on the pro-life side or you're on the pro-choice side. There is no in between here.
I don't think it'll ever go away.
It can't. It's very matter of fact. This is one of those matter of fact, black or white. Yeah. The gray strip is very thin compared to the black and white side on this. So it's dividing topic. I hope we at least we did a decent job of having reasonable perspective on this and offering up kind of two sides of the issue and whatnot. We will do another. I mean, we could talk about this for probably hours, and we don't want to do that because there's some other things we want to talk about for this particular episode. But we will maybe come back and do a whole episode on it, and we'll bring in some great female comics and comedians, improvisers, some actresses that we know, some other people who have a factual base on this and have a larger episode on this sometime in the future. But for now, this is the law in the books. This is what it is. It affects everybody in Illinois, particularly us here in Chicago. So there you go. All right, well, with that, Norm, moving right along in other news. Pride! Well, it's Pride Month.
Pride Month. It came quick.
Yes.
Like, I mean...
it came quick. See you today.
No, June, I mean, came fast, and it's barely hot now. I mean, we're at 70s now? Like, in the middle of
at the end of June. 58 and rainy.
At the end of June. But Pride Fest just happened. The Pride before Pride, the party before Pride, really. And everything was kind of... It was interesting in the area because you got Wrigley, you got the Wrigley area, and then you got Wrigleyville, and then you got Boys Town. And they're very close to each other. And you think those two don't really mix. But I think everyone's into a party, and everyone's into alcohol. So, you know, you had a Cubs game going on, and then you also had Pride Fest, and they're just kind of like smacking each other the entire time.
Traffic was fucking horrific.
Fucking ridiculous.
Horrific.
It was horrible. But yeah, so Pride is this weekend. It's Chicago Pride is gigantic. It's massive.
It's one of the largest, I think. It's maybe second to San Fran.
Yeah, millions. They say like millions of people show up for Pride. I believe it. I mean, there are tons of people, and it goes from Montrose to diversity. And I mean, it's a long stretch, tons of people, but and Pride's great. I love Pride. I love Pride every year. I've gone for the last 4 years I've been here. It's been fantastic. There's one year I didn't go, but I had to go do a show, and it sucked because you have to get through Pride to get to where you're going. And that's what I really want to talk about. Dealing with Pride. If you're not going to Pride, having to deal with Pride. Pride for me is great because I live on Broadway. So I just kind of hook up at the corner and stand where I'm comfortable and then get to leave. If you're in the center of it, you're not fucking going anywhere. Don't expect to be anywhere or do anything. Or
you committed to Pride if you go.
You are in Pride if you are in Pride. And so I had a friend who he tried to get to work the day that Pride was a few years ago, and he couldn't get past anything. There's no way to get through it unless you know the alleyways, you know secret backways, or if you go all the fuck way around it. And that's one of those things. If you need to be somewhere, get there early, get there as soon as you possibly can, be ready to stay the fuck there, and that's just the way that is. Drink tons of water, because most of the time it's usually really fucking hot, and there are a lot of people who are drinking alcohol and they get dehydrated and they don't bring water. Bring tons of water, sunscreen, just fucking in case.
Yep.
Don't expect to use a restroom anywhere, because there won't be. There's porta potties, but they're fucking disgusting.
Yep.
So don't expect to use a restroom.
A couple of gay guys might have had sex in there for
more than likely, yes, it happens. And you just like salute you and then just kind of keep moving. Keep her moving.
Keep her moving.
So you don't expect to use a restroom anywhere. Don't bring anything that you're willing to get stolen or lost. Don't take anything that may be taken from you. Just bring the bare necessities.
You got them bare necessities and good old bare necessities, and there's bare necessities. Speaking of bare, there's a lot of men who will be very bare. And I'm not talking about top bears. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about bare, one could call them barebacks. Barebacks.
But they are bears.
That's also true. They are technically called bears. I used to hashtag on Instagram, #bears, and then I saw the photo of what it was, and I was like, oh, this isn't for the Chicago Bears. I deleted all those real quick. I was like, why is there a photo of a naked man for the Bears? That's weird. I didn't feel like the Bears would be doing that. It's like, that's not in theme with Bears. I don't know, Mitch Trubisky was going all commando in these photos. Yeah. Whoops-a-daisies. But yeah, actually, another funny story. My dad I was barbacking in a bar for a while, but he kept saying I was a bareback. I was like, Dad, those are two. Don't say that. That's not the right thing to say. Man. So yeah, a lot of barebacks though at Pride. I always find it interesting. They have there's two classifications of gay dudes from what I've seen. There's either the really, really fit fucking gay people, or like the guys who just don't give a fuck. Just these old men who are just happy as a clam to be gay.
Isn't it great?
And it's like, but there's like no middle ground. You're either like super fit or just like old and don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Must be really fucking nice, because it doesn't work that way.
I know. For the rest of us, we don't get to Jesus.
But I mean, yeah, that's kind of the crazy classification for a lot of different individuals. I know friends who have issues with that fact of needing to be extremely fit, because that's the attractive view that they have to portray. And then you get to a certain point where you're allowed to give no fucks.
No dad bod craze in the gay community, because
there is. You just gotta wait a couple of years. You gotta wait for some time. But yeah, it's gonna be huge. It's always fun.
Huge.
If you go there, you'll have a great fucking time. Sometimes my issue is there are a lot of politicians there, and some of them are legit, and then others are pushing a narrative.
Fake as fuck.
Yeah, they're pushing a narrative to be in there. But a lot of schools, a lot of people who really care about other people. But I will say there also are a lot of people who are there to party.
Yes.
And sometimes that kind of neglect, or it kind of negates what everyone is there for, is the happiness that human beings can be happy with each other no matter who they are. and the pride and the celebration of that fact. Because there are a lot of people who are there to get completely shit-faced and mess themselves all over the street.
Broadway and that whole area just gets completely fucking trashed.
Yeah. And then people start doing stupid shit and start getting ignorant. And those are dangerous. But this year, also, they said there's going to be tons of cops as well in the area, just like last year. They're watching for any type of alcohol, no open container. Because they're really cracking down on that. Don't piss anywhere. If you look like you're drunk, they'll probably take you.
You will see some shit. You will see all manner. I remember seeing a dude in a banana Speedo. He had a huge schlong, man. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. That
you didn't look at his eyes?
He was shaking. Dude, that's the only thing you could look at with that guy. Yeah. He was on a fucking bus going by, and I was like, oh, all right, well, that's something. It's still in my... I knew. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's never going to be... I'm going to remember that crap.
I will admit, that's the first time I saw the Stanley Cup. Was during Pride. That was the first time I actually got to see the Stanley Cup, and I was like, cool.
Yeah, but there's a lot of interesting... people get really dressed up. And there's very skimpy clothing. It's like going to a EDM festival.
Yeah, it is.
Nobody wears a goddamn thing.
Not a thing.
You see a lot of things you wish you didn't want to see.
Yeah.
But if you go there, you must know that you will see those things.
Yeah, and be happy about it.
And just be like, look at these people enjoying themselves.
Having a good fucking time.
Yeah.
And every year I collect like some little trinket from Pride and put it in a box and
you have a Pride box.
I have a Pride box, actually.
Right.
It's a Pride box. It's
Pride
actually
box.
Shiny Things of Boys Town is what we call it. And any shiny weird thing that we pick up from Boys Town, we put it in there. So
nice.
So Pride this weekend. Be safe. Be smart. Take care of yourself. Have fun.
Yes.
Happy Pride.
Indeed. Happy Pride. There you go.
Woo!
Woo! To Pride. To all our friends who may be part of the gay community, cheers to you. I hope you have a happy Pride. I mean, I went once. That was good enough for me. But, I'll go again.
Yeah.
It's just like, it just happens and then you're just like, oh, fuck it.
There are some times, though, where it's like, it's a parade and it's hot and you're just like, it goes from 12 to 3.
I just don't like parades in general anyway.
And it goes from 12 to 3 and you're like, I'm going to have fun, but at some point, if I get hot enough, I'm fucking dipping.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Well, moving right along in Otter Nose. So Norm, keeping it on the track with the ladies. So in addition to a new abortion law that's for the ladies, there's also a new divorce law that's for the ladies. I know what I'm doing. But there's this one is like, this one, I'm like, this one makes a lot of sense, and I'm 100% okay with it, because this just seems ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Okay, the current law on the books, this new law has not been signed yet, but they expect J.B. Pritzker to sign it soon. The current law on the books states that in the case of a divorce, if a woman would like to take back her maiden name, she has to make a notice in the paper in order for it to go through. The fuck is that? One exception is that if the woman has a copy or has the original court-ordered marriage certificate, then she can get away with it. But apparently, a lot of women don't know about this, so they just go through the divorce proceedings. Nobody ever tells them this. Like, lawyers don't tell them this. And so they go through this whole rigmarole. Nobody tells them anything. They try and take back their name, and the courts are like, no, here's a bunch of other shit you have to do. And then women are just like, fuck it. Because it's just a pain in the ass process to get it done. So people are like, hey, can we just, get our names back when we're done? There's 50% of people get divorced. We'd like this to not be such an arduous goddamn process. And I'm 100% for this. Why the hell do you have to put a notice in the paper? I mean, first of all, who's going to read it really? But I mean, second, it's just, what?
I want my shit back.
Yeah. It's like, hey world, I'm getting divorced, so my last name is Kirkirchikirkir. Like, the fuck?
Oh, Sally wants her name back.
Yeah,
Sally
Klein wants to be called Sally Joe again.
It's none of your fucking business. So why
who the fuck cares?
That's ridiculous.
I thought that was just a thing that happens.
But that's ridiculous if that's a fucking hoop that they have to jump through.
Yeah,
like,
that's silly.
Insane. But
that's
is
silly.
it just for women? Like, what if the man changes his name to the woman's
I
last name?
think it goes. I mean, well, the dude's already got his name, so it's
No.
mostly
But what
goes
if
towards
the
women.
man takes the female's last name?
Well, then I guess it goes the other way then. But what
Really?
man do you know who takes his wife's name?
I don't know. There's definitely something.
Pansy!
I don't think so. I think because there's certain people who don't like their last names and they would rather not have their last names, and so they change them. What happens to them? What if that's
I imagine it's the same process, but let's be honest, it's mostly geared against women.
Yeah, I mean, mostly. Which, I mean, they should have their fucking last names. That's stupid.
It is
That's
dumb.
so
It is
fucking
dumb.
stupid.
I actually am. I mean, the only thing is, don't sneak in a bunch of shit in this law, because it's like one of those things where they're like, "This makes so much sense," and then they like sneak in a bunch of fucking
it's
shit
just like,
underneath,
here.
and then all of a sudden, you find out that like taxes are going up by like 15% on marriage certificates. You're like, "What the fuck is this?"
It wasn't even about that. They were just trying to tax everything else. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna slip this one in real quick."
Jesus Christ. But anyway,
Crazy.
really easy one, really easy story. Let women get their fucking names back, for fuck's sake, their maiden names. Jesus Christ. Anyway, moving right along in other news. Okay, so this story, Norm, I'm actually very excited to talk about. It's a trap! Carp! It's a trap!
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
There's so many carp.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. So
many
China's
carp.
like, yes, take these grass carp. They're
Yeah.
delicious,
Yeah,
and
take
they'll
them.
eat all the vegetation
They are for
in
you.
the area. They are for you.
Please,
take our carp.
Here.
And I wish the carp-looking guy in Star Wars had come down and be like, it's a trap!
It's a trap.
Because there's a lot of problems with these goddamn carp coming in here.
We got a carp.
Okay? So first of all, there's a lot of, so in the native to the Midwest region and in Illinois are bighead and silver carp. And the Illinois and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, this is all according to an article in the Chicago Tribune, not a sponsor yet, but perhaps one day, Chicago Tribune.
Chicago Tribune.
In case you are interested, we do take sponsorships in the form of, well, money.
Yeah, man.
Money is good.
Monetary gain, yeah.
Anyway, the Illinois and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers have been constructing a channel at the Brandon Roadlock, and they have been instituting sound barriers, and this is a fun thing, a bubble curtain.
Ooh, bubble curtain.
Whoa, a bubble curtain. It's just a curtain that has chains that are in the form of bubbles.
Oh, okay, so that's not
It doesn't
fun
create
at all.
bubbles.
That's
Yeah,
not fun at
it's
all.
not like you get a big bubble curtain and blow, and then a bunch
so
of bubbles come out,
excited.
and then that deters.
It
Then like the fish
they're
get
like,
distracted
whoa,
by the
what the
bubbles.
fuck's happening?
Whoa, bubbles!
What's going on?
It's like Dory and fucking Dory and Finding Nemo. Like, ooh, bubbles!
I would
ooh,
just have
bubbles.
that job. Like, what do you do? I control the bubble curtain.
I control the bubble curtain that
I
distracts
don't know
the
why I'm
carp.
Quasimodo in this, but I'm just ringing this bubble curtain like this is what I do. The bells! I'm just swinging with my hump everywhere, hoping a pretty girl sees me.
Must deter the carp! Must deter the carp! Oh man, that is wonderful stuff. But yeah, so these goddamn carp. So they have this huge project going on. So they're doing this because they're trying to deter these carp from getting into the Illinois River and Lake Michigan. The whole project is estimated to be $831 million.
Where are we getting this money
I don't
from?
know. Fucking government funds, dude. But it's not even going to be completed until 2028. So, got 9 more years. Whoa!
Okay, so real quick question. Why aren't we just hunting the carp?
Well, they do actually hunt the carp.
Okay.
So there's more to this story.
Okay.
But I say, just get some bears. Stop, bears. Get the bears in there. But real bears. Get the bears. I know they like salmon, but maybe they'll be into carp.
So your solution is to bring in actual
Bring in
bears.
bears. Get the bears in there. Not the Chicago bears. Real bears. But, slather up the carp. Let them do their thing. Okay, that's why we're the state of the bears. So get bears to be monsters of the Great Lakes and kill these goddamn carp. No, but here's some more information. Okay. So, the Illinois Department of Natural Resources claims that bighead and silver carp have been contained, but new Asian grass carp have been found, and they're worried that these grass carp are spawning in Lake Erie. Now, grass carp have been imported from China and other parts of Asia. The whole reason why they've been imported is to eat unwanted vegetation, primarily around private ponds and golf courses and golf course waters. Those are the fish you see in there. Yeah, exactly. But now they have known that some of these grass carp have infiltrated Lake Erie since the 1980s. So this has been going on for quite a while. They've been importing all these damn carp. Now they expect the fish to be sterilized, but as of recently, within the last few months, last time they've been looking into this, they found 53 carp that are actually fertile, and this is a big reason. Now, this is a big fear. Why is it a big fear? Because the Great Lakes wetlands have less than 50% of what they originally were, and these carp are what are called the cows of the fish world, because they just eat and eat and eat and eat and fucking eat, man. And so they're worried that these carp are going to infiltrate Lake Michigan, Lake Erie, then Lake Huron. They're going to eat all this wetlands, and these wetlands are a huge ecological hub for other creatures that habitate in it and get nutrients from it, as well as the shorelines. So if these carp are eating, we're going to have a lot of erosion of our shorelines, because some of the wetlands have roots and the ability to keep the shorelines to where they are. So it's a big effing problem. It's also not good for fishermen, because these carp will, by eating the wetlands, will take away from other fish. So all other populations of fish that we fucking eat, there's not going to be as much. Fishermen's salaries will go down. It'll just be bad for everybody. So Chicago is leading the charge to limit these goddamn grass carp from getting in the Great Lakes there. Now the problem here, Narn, is that these damn other states are not listening to Chicago. They don't know about Chicago politics, okay? You do what we fucking tell you to do, or we bribe you so that you do what we want you to do. Or we kill you, but we don't actually know who does the killing. We never have any involvement in it, but somehow you die.
Somehow you die.
Somehow you die.
And then
not gonna say how. That's right. Then we get a copy of your body, and then you're just you're a guy. You're a guy that we control. Too bad we can't control these damn carp.
No, it's carp season.
It's carp season. Yeah, it's just like, why don't we just fish the carp?
Right. I know some guys on the lakes that are just like, please, like, I got some buddies, let's go.
Yeah. Oh, it seems like
let's fucking go.
I've never eaten carp. Are they not nutritious? I don't know what the problem is. It seems like, how about we fish for carp?
Fish the fuck out of carp.
Eat the carp.
Get really into carp, and then give carp to other people who need carp.
Right.
And then
solve
I think we're
solve the hunger problem. Give away carp.
You don't need to pay this much money.
If there's one thing we learned from the Greeks, is if you take a naturally untasty fish like cod, just sprinkle some lemon juice and some pepper on it, and it'll be delicious. Fry some of it. The English figured that out. It's delicious. So why can't we do this with carp?
No,
I don't get it. Anyway, big problem is that these carp are fucking huge. And they can go up to like 35 pounds. Now, I've caught some fish. I've caught a 25-pounder and a 27-pounder when I was up in Oregon with my uncle. 35 pounds, that's a hell of a fish. Okay? That's a big-ass fish. So what they're worried is that there aren't enough predators in the Great Lakes to eat the damn carp.
Yeah.
They're fucking humongous goddamn fish. Now, they're herbivores, so they don't eat any other fish, but they eat all the food that the other fish eat. This is a problem for the people.
I'm just saying, we're the most badass predators. Like, what are we doing?
Why don't... Yeah, they're catching these fish to check on them, but then they just are like, maybe like just take a few of them onto the boats.
Like, hey, Jimmy, take these real quick.
Fillet them.
Shit.
It feels like a side business. There's going to be a black market for carp. What the hell's going on? Yo, man, I got some grade A carp right here, motherfucker.
I got a 35-pounder.
This ain't no sterile carp, motherfucker. This a feral-ass bitch.
This is some big-ass carp, a cow to see, my mother.
This a 40-pound motherfucker.
Big-ass
carp, motherfucker.
It be eating all day,
gotta pay some primo price for this
big
shit.
Carps, motherfucker.
I feel like a comedy sketch is
Yeah.
coming from this.
I
think we shall be writing a comedy sketch from the Chicago 60 about the carp. Yes. So anyway, the big other reason why they're fear of these damn carp is because young carp are actually able to survive freezing temperatures. So remember that Chicago cold we have? Yeah, it doesn't kill these bastards.
Damn.
So they can just keep fucking eating.
Not the cows of the sea, the rats.
They are.
fucking
They are. They're the cow rats of the fish world. They're cow and rat. They're cow rats. Could you imagine a cow rat? That sounds disgusting.
That's disgusting. That's fucking
sounds
villainous.
horrific.
Actually, I would beat that to death.
That definitely sounds like a villain Batman would have to
Like,
fight. Oh no, Batman! It's the cow rat. Oh God, Zooks, Batman!
Holy shit!
Like if you thought the penguin had a weird voice, like imagine the cow rat.
Oh my God!
Oh,
I would beat that
fucking
thing to
hell.
death. Yeah.
Woo, buddy. But yeah, man.
Yeah.
So they're very afraid. They're having a big meeting where that the Illinois and Chicago Department of Natural Resources. They're getting all the states together and they're like, hey man, can we like maybe not buy so many of these damn carp?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really just these grass carp. They have the other carp, the big head and the silver carp. They seem to have under control.
Yeah.
But they're like, yo, we got to take care of these grass carp because they're infiltrating these places. It's like they got these commando carp infiltrating the Great Lakes.
Right?
They're on
It's
a
a
secret
ploy.
mission to ruin the ecosystem.
Chinese ploy, yeah. Start with
Also, not really the grass carp's fault.
No.
It's really our
It's
fault.
just doing what
We
it
brought
does.
them here for ponds and golf water courses.
Isn't that some
golf
bullshit?
courses. And then they just found their way. Like, did some people like, oh, these are some beautiful fish. Let's throw them in the Great Lakes, man.
I feel like
Ain't nothing gonna happen now.
I feel like they just ate their way through a golf lake and then made their way to the lake.
Man, I don't remember this hole being so big.
Damn, this whole lake trap is huge. Where the
Wow.
fuck did a river? You guys put in a river? That's weird.
Oh my God. This is the most intricate golf course. What is this, a
Yeah,
mini
just
golf course?
Goes all the way to the lakes.
Wow. I didn't realize we built a delta on the golf course. I thought that was only by the Nile River.
Man, what
Hey,
the fuck's happening?
we're smart on this show. Yeah, man. So these carp, dude, it's an issue.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, we will. I'm sure there will be more. We will do a follow-up story when we hear about it. We will keep an eye on the carp. But I gotta tell you, we Chicagoans gotta go into this meeting and we gotta tell these feckers from all these other goddamn states, listen, we come over here, we cook your Italian sausage, your Polish sausage, your marinara, you got your giardiniera, you got your Italian beef, okay? You want any of this great food, you gotta kill these goddamn carp. Okay, kill the carp. Hashtag kill the carp, which we will be starting that hashtag.
Kill the cat.
Kill it. Hashtag kill the carp.
We gotta be really careful with the carrot.
Yeah,
Because we gotta make sure the R is there. Like, are they saying kill caps? I keep hearing saying them kill
Are
caps.
they killing caps?
No.
Kill the carp.
Carp.
Kill the carp.
The
Kill
fish.
the carp. Okay? Gotta kill the carp. Ow, I hurt my toe. Alright. So, yeah, you know what? They're the cows of the world, so just think of them as a great prime real estate meat that we need to eat.
And if you're vegan, we're so sorry.
Yeah, we're so sorry.
Vegetarian, vegan, sorry, it's an issue.
Well,
You
if
gotta
you're,
deal with
what's the term? If you're a pescatarian, you'll love this
it. Oh
strategy.
yeah, it was perfect.
So,
T-carp.
hashtag kill the carp, hashtag eat the carp, hashtag the carp. I ran out of hashtags after a while. Yeah, so carp. It's a problem. We will keep you informed as more information comes to light. Well, Norv, that about wraps up the main stories from last week. A lot of big things. We talked a lot of big issues. It's time, Norm.
Is it really time?
It's time for our favorite time of the episode. It's time for the Jagoff of the Week! And oh boy, do we have a Jagoff for you folks. Holy cripes. This guy, I tell you what, if I see this guy over by the Jules, I punch him right in his goddamn mouth. This guy is a feckin' Jagoff. Feckin' Jagoff, this guy. Alright, so who is this guy? Well, it is ex-alderman Willie Cochran.
Willie Cochran.
Willie Cochran.
Willie
Oh, good old Willie.
Oh, Willie Cox. Willie Cox.
Willie
Call him
Cox.
today.
Willie Cox.
Willie.
He likes to cox.
Willie Cox.
I don't know that. We don't know.
Yeah,
He's got a daughter, so he probably is not gay, but it's just funny to say Willie Cox.
Willie Cox.
Willie Cochran likes to cock. He's cocky.
Willie Cochran.
He's a cocky man.
We're just really fucking
Yeah, Doesn't matter. He's a Jagoff.
Yeah, true.
So his sentencing was supposed to happen today, Monday, June, whatever the hell day this is.
25th.
And there you go. Thank you.
I don't know if that's right.
25th, 24th, 24th.
Definitely 24th.
So there you go. Now, the prosecution is looking to give him 11 and a half years. Ooh, excuse me. 11 and a half years in prison for embezzling money from a charity ward fund.
Yeah.
And he took money for his own personal use, primarily for gambling trips, fancy meals, accessorizing his Mercedes, tuition for his daughter for college, ATM withdrawals for casinos, and other personal items for his home. Sounds like a stand-up guy.
Wait, can we pause for a second?
Yes.
How do you accessorize your Mercedes? You put a fin on it? Like, what the fuck do you accessorize your Mercedes?
You get a better radio, you up the engine.
It's a Mercedes. It's
Look,
already
man.
a fucking better car.
Look, this is why he's a Jagoff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
True.
Okay, so the defense is asking for probation and 6 months of home incarceration.
Fuck that noise. Fuck out of here.
Here's their reasoning. They go, well, we've already locked up a bunch of other aldermen and it hasn't deterred anybody, so why start again?
Okay, that's fucking hilarious.
That is the
That's
best
kinda
defense
funny.
I've ever heard. It isn't working, so just, fuck it.
Like, why even try, guys?
It's like Chicago is so corrupt. This is not even real. Bring back the death penalty. That's really death penalty for embezzlement.
Hey guys, maybe if we kill them, they'll stop.
Yeah, maybe if we kill them, they'll stop doing it. Hey man,
That's hilarious.
Hey man, what are you in for? Why are you on death row? Man, I embezzled some money from some kids. Oh man, you a Jagoff, man. You deserve to
I
die.
fucking hate you.
Oh, criminy crickets.
Crazy.
So, Cochran did plead guilty in March for wire fraud, so that ended his time on the city council. Oh, by the way, he's a former police officer.
Yeah, of course.
Of course he is.
Sorry. Not to offend the
course he
Chicago
is.
police, but yeah.
Unfucking real.
Come on, guys.
So he's the 30th alderman that's been convicted for crimes relating to misuse of power of the office since 1972. Now, 1972 was a long time ago. I mean, 4 decades. But when you consider, that's almost basically one alderman a year.
Yeah.
That ain't great odds, okay? Okay? What I tell you about Chicago politics, okay? You either do what we say we tell you that you're gonna do, okay? Or we bribe you, or you're down with the carp, okay? That's how it works.
Swimming with the carp.
You're swimming with the carp. We don't care about the other fishes. You're swimming with
the
the carp.
specifically.
Hashtag swimming with the carp.
Swimming with the carp.
We have to remember these hashtags.
Yes.
We're basically turning into the Chicago version of John Oliver. Except we're not as popular yet.
It's carp.
Help us be popular enough to start hashtag trends.
Yes, please.
Hashtag DeCarp. Hashtag swimming with DeCarp.
It's fucking Jagoff for that. That's
Yeah, what a Jagoff. I mean,
crazy.
he stole $14,000 from the charity that was meant to help needy children.
Nope.
Nope. Also, he was already making $137,000 a year after taxes.
what?
After taxes. And that was through his police pension and his alderman salary. So what in the hell do you need to be embezzling from a charity fund for? Well, he has some gambling problems, I think, because apparently he went to a local pastor asking for $6,600 for a tuition check for his daughter because his check bounced.
Ooh.
There is $7 left in the charity fund. He was asking for more donations. $7. Yeah, that's enough for the kids.
Yeah, he's definitely.
Yeah, that might buy him a popsicle, and they can all share it. Now everybody gets one lick. One lick of... That sounds... Is he a pedophile?
Yeah, it's like, why that voice? Why that voice?
Well, hi, Chris. You want to come inside? Want to get a lick of the popsicle?
You get one lick.
It's a $7 popsicle, Chris.
Hey, Timmy, no, you get one fucking lick, you fat ass.
Ooh, Chris, I want to go there. I want to go inside. It sounds like a really gross popsicle. Imagine all the kids that have licked that popsicle.
We're gonna get off the kids a popsicle licking.
Yeah, that's not where we want our... From abortion to kids licking popsicles.
Hashtag kids lick one. Hashtag one lick. Hashtag kids and popsicle. Hashtag corrupt alderman. Hashtag back to the beginning.
Oh,
Hashtag how many licks does it take till you get to the center of a Tootsie Pop the world may never know.
Man, we brought that full circle.
We did.
God, I knew this was going to be a great episode. Anyway, ex-Alderman Willie Cochran, you're a Jagoff! Well, you're not going to be stealing any more money because you're going to prison where you belong. You Jagoff.
You Jagoff.
Jagoff. Well, that concludes the Jagoff of the week. So, Norm, that's another episode of the Chicago 60 podcast. How about that?
Yeah, that was amazing.
Oh, man, I wish... Yeah, I just wish this weather was better because I'd love to be out on the lake. Wouldn't you like to be out on the lake, Norm?
That'd be great because, the best thing about being on the lake and the best thing about having that opportunity to be on the lake is being on a giant fucking boat.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be nice.
Yes.
If there's anyone out there, anyone far and wide who happens to have a lovely boat, it's one of my bucket list items. It's one of our bucket list items. I think he's been on a few boats, but I have not. I would love to be on a boat.
Hashtag get Norm on a boat.
Hashtag get me on a boat. Because I don't know, I've never been on a boat, and I've always wanted to be on a boat. It was one of those things that I always wanted to do when I came to Chicago was I always saw the boats and all the people and the yachts, and they're out in the lake, and they're enjoying themselves, and more than likely I would probably get out there and be like, fuck this noise, there's too much water and I can't swim. But you know what, I want to try, and it would be great. And the best thing about it is we would definitely, this is the one thing that I've always wanted to do, I wanted to break a bottle of champagne off the side of a boat.
We'll put a replica boat of the boat we were on inside the bottle, break it, and then I'll have figurines of us. It'll be like that scene in Inception with the mirrors.
And it'll just keep going until
very intricate.
You can't really see it anymore.
Yes.
And we'll gift that to you, whoever has said boat, and we'll break.
Could be a friend of a friend.
Right off. I mean,
could be a second uncle's twice removed on your mom's side's friend's cousin's uncle.
If you know somebody, who knows somebody with a boat.
We will do an episode of the podcast on said boat.
On said boat, if we are able to do so, because we're not really sure about the whole
batteries.
Yeah, that stuff. But hey, if you got a boat, let me know.
Yeah.
And if you don't, hey, thanks for listening.
Yeah. And because you're listening, please follow us on Facebook at Chicago 60, spelled out SIXTY at Chicago 60. Follow us there because we do our Facebook Live feeds there. We post some stuff there. You should really just follow us and like us on our page because that really helps us keep doing what we are doing. And if you don't like it, well then screw you! Just kidding. We love all of you. We love all Chicagoans, whether you watch us or don't. But one day we hope you do. You can also follow us on our Instagram page at Chicago_60. That's with the number 60. So Chicago_60 at Instagram. Now we post some things on Instagram you're not going to see on the Facebook page. And there might be some cool things. And so if you're not following us there, you're not going to see it. We're going to do some competitions and stuff on there. So if you're not on there, you're just not going to see it. You can also follow us on YouTube because we post a lot of our comedic sketches that are coming out in the next couple months. We are writing them. They are happening. You will see them, but only on YouTube. Also, we're going to have a lot of other content on YouTube that you just won't see on the Facebook Live or on the podcast. They'll maybe be bonus episodes, or maybe they'll just be on YouTube. So if you're not following us on YouTube, if you don't subscribe and hit the bell notification, you're never going to see all the extra content that we're going to create there. Like that abortion episode. That could be a bonus episode just on YouTube. You may not see it. You won't be educated. You'll never know. You could be an ignorant fuck not knowing about things going on because you didn't subscribe to our YouTube channel. So that's silly. And then finally, just, if you missed this, which would be weird because you're obviously watching us live, you should also subscribe to our podcast. And if for those who are listening on the podcast, please leave us a 5 stars and a review. And that really helps us keep doing what we're doing and also makes us go up through the rankings, etc., etc., etc. So please, if you like what you listen to, follow us on all those platforms. Because then you'll be fully immersed in the Chicago 60. You'll know about your great city. You'll know about great people in your city. Things to do, places to go, things to see. But you won't if you don't follow us. So with that, Norm, that is the end of the Chicago 60. Chicago 60. 11 episodes.
11 episodes.
And we're still going.
We're still doing it.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll get to 100.
That's the goal.
And then we'll get to 1,000.
That's the other goal.
And then Joe Rogan will have us on his podcast.
Hashtag the cop.
Hashtag Joe Rogan's podcast.
Hashtag Joe Rogan's
which we didn't create. I'm sure that's already a hashtag.
Yeah, no, definitely a hashtag.
Before we leave, Norm, we have to say our most favorite phrase of all time on the Chicago 60 podcast. And of course, that phrase is, bear down and fuck the Packers! All right, everybody. See you next week.
See you next week.
Doobity-boobity-doo. This is the after thing. Doobity-doo, doobity-doo, doobity-doo.